Now, like I said in that last video, this has everything I need for my makeup. The foundation itself is called 3D foundation because we're using multiple different shades to make up our foundation. So long gone are the days of just using one full cover over our face. We are just placing the colors where they belong and then blending it in. I always recommend using 2 brushes to apply your 3D foundation. So for today's application, I'll be using 2 brushes. I'm just gonna be applying the makeup to this side of my face so you can see the before and after. I'm starting with what's called a contour. This is meant to chisel your features, and it is supposed to be a couple shades darker than your actual skin color. For a lot of ladies, it's super scary, but I promise it's necessary and it's not as intimidating as you think it's gonna be. I'm gonna take that same brush and I'm gonna go into my main highlight shade. Now this shade should match my skin tone the best, and I'm just placing this on my beard area. Now that I have my main highlight shade on, I'm just gonna use the smaller end of my brush and I'm gonna go into what's called a brightening highlight shade. And this is essentially the same thing as my main, it's just 2 shades lighter. So it's acting as a concealer, and it's also making the center of my face the focus of my face, which is what we want. Next piece I'm going to add is my lip and cheek color, which it duals as my lip and my cheek color. So I'm going to grab just a little bit of this color and I'm literally just going to place it right above that contour shade where my blush would normally go. I'm also just going to apply a little bit to my lips. We have over like 25 lip and cheek colors, so even if you're not a huge fan of blush, or maybe you love blush, we're gonna have a color that's gonna work really well for you. Now the last piece of our cream 3D foundation is a little bit of bronzer. I'm just gonna grab a little bit with the small end of my brush, and I'm just gonna place it on the high points of my face where I would be getting a suntan. Now I want you real quick to take a peek at this before I blend this in. Unlike traditional makeup where you're doing one layer of foundation and then another layer on top of that to do your concealer, and then another layer on top of that to do your bronzer, and another layer on top of that to your blush. We are just putting the colors where they belong, but we're removing all of those layers so our makeup won't be heavy, it won't be cakey. It's actually gonna let our skin's luminosity shine through, giving us a radiant, youthful, natural looking makeup application. I'm gonna switch my brush and use this little bit bigger one and use this denser end to blend everything in. I always start with the lightest shades first, and because the colors are where they're supposed to be, we're not having to do a lot of crazy blending. We're essentially just patting this color in. Now, once we have those lighter shades blended in, now we can start to marry the blush and the contour and the bronzer together. When it comes to your contour and bronzer, you really want to make sure that you're bringing that up and out to the hairline, and then we're just blending that into our main highlight shade. Now, because they're all the same consistency, they blend together beautifully, versus when you use a powder or a liquid foundation, it's really hard to mix and match products because they're all different consistencies. Again, like I said in that last video, this makeup is buildable. So if you struggle with skin issues like I do, all we need to do is spot treat those blemishes or those distractions on our face. And if you don't have any skin issues, you can be all done with your 3D foundation. All I'm gonna do is spot treat a couple of my blemishes with my main shade, and I'm just adding a tiny amount of product where it needs a little bit more coverage. Now the final piece of your 3D foundation is an illuminator, which is just in the makeup world a highlighter, and this is just gonna give the skin a little bit extra glow to the high points. So I always like to do my cheekbones, my cupid's bow, my brow bone, and the tip of my nose. Now I want to get up close and personal with you real quick. So as you can see, my 3D foundation is applied on this side, and on this side it's not. And I do struggle with blemishes, I struggle with redness on my skin, but when I put on my 3D foundation, I feel a zillion times better, but I still feel like me, which is what's really important. Now I'm gonna finish this side, add a little mascara, and I'll be right back. And there we have our 3D foundation. So again, not only is it all-in-one compact, it's customizable, it's refillable, the coverage is buildable. It literally only takes me like 5 minutes to do my full face of makeup, and that includes applying mascara. So if you're curious if this makeup is going to work for you, I'm confident to say that it will. And even if it doesn't, we have a 30-day full money back guarantee. And the thing that I always say is that the only risk involved is you becoming obsessed with a new makeup routine. So if you're anxious to get your hands on your own makeup palette, I'll be posting the instructions next.